So we need to talk about Elizabeth May in the House of Commons yesterday because this is what she said.
Mr. Speaker, I was going to ask the Prime Minister a question about nation-building projects, but then today Tina called our office. She got my chief of staff on the phone and started explaining that she's a mom with disabilities and she can't figure out how she's going to feed her children. And she started crying on the phone. And so here's a nation-building project question. Checks start going to Canadians with disabilities in July, but they're a lousy maxed out at $200 a month. How about a nation-building project to lift all Canadians with disabilities out of poverty?
Serve jobs and families.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thanks to the member opposite for having such compassion for the constituents in her riding, as we do all across the country. People who are living with disabilities have the right to be fully included in community. They have the right to live decent lives, just like the rest of us. That's why this government is proceeding with the Canada Disability Credit. That's why we are also working with provinces and territories, including most recently Ontario, to commit to ensuring that that money will not be clawed back from other benefits.
First of all, I want to thank Elizabeth May. Okay, she is a national treasure. She is a gem. The day that she leaves politics will be a very, very sad day because that woman is amazing. So I want to thank Elizabeth May for actually standing up for the disabled community and actually holding or attempting to hold the Liberals accountable. Because honestly, this $200, little snippet, little treat that they're throwing at fucking disabled people in terms of income is despicable. It is sad. We know that it's not enough. And thank you for Elizabeth May for stating that fact. It is not enough. It's not enough for a single person to survive on. It is not enough for a person that has dependents okay? People who are getting money from the federal government are getting roughly less than $1,500 a month, okay? It is not enough to survive on, considering the federal government determined 5 years ago that $2,000 was the minimum that someone needed in order to survive. And that was 5 years ago. So that $2,000 has definitely gone up with the cost of everything else. So the fact that we are getting less than $2,000 a month, that the disabled community is getting less than $2,000 a month from the federal government is despicable. So thank you, Elizabeth May, for pointing this out. Now, as for Patty Hadju, what the fuck was that answer? That wasn't an answer. First of all, it's you fucking applauding yourselves for doing not even the bare minimum. All right? And then trying to make it seem like you guys are fighting the evil provinces so that they won't be clawing it back. Now, yes, Danielle Smith is an utter horrible, awful person for clawing back that $200 from anybody that would receive it in Alberta that is on the Alberta Disability Income Program. But this is the bare minimum that you guys should be doing. You should be ensuring that the provinces can't claw it back. Like, honestly, what is the program we've got going on here? So every individual province is allowed to provide income to disabled people, and then the federal government can provide more money on top of that. But you guys allow them to claw back any of that money? Why don't you have a joint program? Why don't you just have one program that works for all disabled people so there is no clawing back of money? Because if the Ontario government has enough money, let's say the Ontario government's giving somebody like, I don't know, $15,000, okay? And the Canadian government has enough to give somebody $1,000. Why aren't you just putting that into one big bucket and then nobody's allowed to claw it back? And then you go based off of like taxes and so on and so forth to determine if money should be, taken away or whatever. But why are you not working together instead of working against each other? This is ridiculous. It is now 2025 and disabled people are one of the most left behind groups when it comes to the government giving a shit. And that says a lot. Okay? That says a lot. So it's like for Patty Hadju to not give an actual answer, it's insulting to disabled people. It's insulting to Elizabeth May, who, by the way, was almost in tears talking there. So you were disregarding her, upset at this. You're disregarding the disabled community. And what the fuck was that lack of applause after Elizabeth May finished speaking? There was like, what, maybe 10 people that applauded her? There was a louder applause for when Patty Hadju stood up. That is despicable. The federal government and the provincial governments need to do better. Okay, when we have Doug Ford fucking criminalizing homelessness, all right, and the federal government is doing nothing to ensure that people that are disabled will not end up homeless, or who are already homeless are not going to be able to get off the streets because they're not giving them enough money to get off the streets, there is a fucking problem with our system. And I really hope that more people, like, take that clip and share it around and talk about it. Because frankly, I watched that and then I looked to see if anybody else other than that Twitter group, Inclusivity, talked about it. No one. I couldn't find anybody that was showing that clip and talking about it. So that is fucking just sad. I might have voted for the Liberal government, but I am going to hold their friggin' hand to the flame every time they do shit like this. Because this is totally and utterly unacceptable for the disabled community. You need to do better by people who are relying on you for fucking I came off disability and started doing schmex work because I would have lived in poverty otherwise. So, if you cannot get your shit together, more people are going to end up homeless if they, along with those that already are, that are homeless and disabled. Like, this is just unacceptable, and the federal government just needs to do better.